Wolfpack, what's going on? It's your boy, the Wolf of Roto Street, RotoStreetJournal.com. We breed and feed you fantasy wolves. Here with your Week 3 Waiver Wire and Fab show. It was a big hit last week. We got over 70 questions. It was awesome. So hopefully you're here live. Come on in, get those questions in, comment away. If not, I'll try to hit them all later. But we are going to go through all the Waiver Wire pickups of this week to prioritize. And I'll just say from the top, this isn't the best weekly waiver wire that's out there. There's really not a whole ton to splurge on unless there's a handful of names that are still out there in around 50% of the leagues. I'm going to start with first. I'm then going to run through 12 names. I couldn't even get to 15 names that I truly wanted to add and hype up. A couple of stashes and C's there at the end to check out. But first, just wanted to make sure you guys know this is an order of how I'd prioritize them, just without any type of team need. Of course, if you have any specific team needs, things of that nature, be sure to prioritize however you see fit. But let me first get into these guys that you should prioritize that are around 50% of leagues. And again, if you don't mind giving it the thumbs up, helping us get out to more people, shares, likes, retweets, help this continue to grow. It would mean the world. Help us get out to more people. Now let's come on in and talk about some of these top pickups. Get all your questions in, how much you should bid, who you should drop, all that good stuff. And at the top for this week, you got to make sure to check these names first. Number one being Sterling Shepard, a new alpha target hog over here for the New York Giants. 9 of 10 targets, 94 yards in the week 2 loss. He's now gone 9 targets, 7 receptions, 113 in a TD, plus that game line I just said. And then dating back to last year, 10 targets, 8 receptions, 112 in a TD, 12 targets, 9 receptions, 77 in a TD. The guy has been top 15 in 4 straight weeks dating back to last year. An absolute PPR target hog. Yes, Saquon's going to round into form. Sure, Galladay's probably going to take some more snaps, but Daniel Jones is looking significantly better this year. It's not good, but he only had where to go up. He has gone up, and it's clear that Sterling Shepard is the apple of his eye, just getting peppered week in and week out, and now he gets the horrendous Falcons. I mean, if you can get Shepard, I would bid, and all these guys on this list that you can see there in the banner, every single one of them is worth 50% or more of your fab. So, if they're out there, ask me, but I'll tell you, those guys are the ones that are worth risking it all for. And there's not a whole lot else out there. But Sterling Shepard, the top of the list, I think he's going to be a viable top 25-ish receiver. He's talked in right around my top 50. Top 30 rather, rest of season big board there. So love Sterling Shepard. Love Jimmy White, 44% rostered right now. 5 carries, 20 yards and a score. Also adding 6 catches for 45 yards on 6 targets. He's seen 10.5 touches right around that 2019 usage when he was 11th in running back fantasy points per game. And now he's seeing an 18.9% target share, trailing only Alvin Kamara and Christian McCaffrey at the running back position. Highly involved, someone that I would be starting over James Robinson, over Kareem Hunt potentially even. And now you can get this guy still potentially on your waiver wire. Definitely want to prioritize James White, a clear-cut role on a Patriots team that's running more plays than we saw last year, especially at a weak running back position. Definitely a viable week-to-week play. I did want to highlight also Tony Pollard, especially if you don't need to start James White. Far more upside exists with Tony Pollard. He's actually the running back 9 in fantasy compared to running back 25 for Ezekiel Elliott. Sure, Zeke is seeing more snaps, more touches, but Pollard is doing a whole lot more with him. You saw 13 carries for 109 and a TD, 3 catches for 31 yards, and it's clear he's going to be involved on a week-to-week basis. You thought after Ezekiel Elliott got that huge contract, Jerry Jones would be enforcing the issue. No, you can't get Tony Pollard out there. We're paying Zeke. Well, it was 16 touches for Pollard, 18 touches for Zeke this last week. So almost near even split in distribution of the workload. I think Zeke obviously coming down in the rest of the season, big board because of that. And Pollard has, elite handcuff upside, but now might be that ultimate type of handcuff with benefits style player. Love Tony Pollard. Would blow almost all my waiver wire budget to go get this guy. And the last but not least out here in 45% of leagues, or rather only owned in 45%. So, 55% out there. Darnell Mooney sees 8 targets, 66 yards. Nothing too insane, but he led the way in targets from Justin Fields with 4. He led the team in passing yards. Allen Robinson was the next closest with only 24. And this was a very complete game. That was the more important thing I saw with Darnell Mooney. Getting it done in the short to intermediate range, just roasting the number 2 corners as Robinson drew number 1 cover. That's big. That's really big for Darnell Mooney. And now, he's putting these types of stats up, and he's not even getting the deep ball, right? That's his whole thing. And remember, Justin Fields, and also on this list, I should mention Justin Fields, came in with the third best deep ball the last 2 years behind only Burrow and Mac Jones, top 5 across the last 5 years. So the guy can throw, but what you really love about him, and that's great for Darnell Mooney, that kind of wraps up Darnell Mooney, that deep ball accuracy. Imagine these types of stats, the 66 yards on the short to intermediate, and then you mix in a 50-yard bomb TD. We could see that from Mooney. We probably will see that sooner than later. So big fan of Darnell Mooney moving forward. But Justin Fields, as we said, that high accuracy numbers in addition, and this is why you really love him, 10 rushes this last week, the Konami code upside. He has the fastest 40 time of all time, outside of only Michael Vick and RG3. So the Konami upside couldn't be more real. The arm is very real. I am a little bit skeptical. Matt Nagy, his play calling, is he going to fully utilize this guy to his fullest upside? We saw in the preseason, though, 18 fantasy points and a half. The guy was averaging, if you cross 4 quarters, if you added up all his stats, nearly 30 fantasy points per game. That's the upside that Justin Fields brings to the table. So at 54% owned, if he got dropped by an impatient owner, definitely a QB to check out, especially with Andy Dalton now week to week. I am nervous that, they'll force Andy Dalton out there and freaking body cast if they have to. He'll crutch out the tunnel. That's Andy Dalton's music. Matt Nagy's forcing him into the field. That could happen. That seems to be the intent here. But those are some guys just to double check. Wanted to highlight those guys at the top of the show. Now let's get into some guys that are more likely to be available. Speaking of more, Rondale Moore, the top pickup by far this week. If any of those other guys are gone, 33% owned. So more competitive leagues, there's a good chance he is already gone. But he is currently leading. This is crazy. On a team with DeAndre Hopkins, Rondale Moore is leading this team in targets, receptions, and receiving yards so far this season. Put up a 7 for 114 and a TD line on just 8 targets. And what's insane is he's seeing the 4th snaps. He's down in the bottom of behind AJ Green, behind Christian Kirk in terms of snaps. But when he's out there, he's getting used. 22.2% target share, even though he's only playing 46% of the snaps. I mean, he played, I want to say 21 snaps and saw 7 looks. I mean, that is elite usage. He's a great security blanket that can also go deep, can make some things happen on broken plays. And you know how good Kyler Murray is on that. So love to see Rondale Moore. Definitely a guy that I would blow 30+% fab on. Huge upside among these rookie receivers, looking like one of the best bets of this class to produce. And here's one I had to put at number 2 just to say I told you so. Last Wednesday, after the waiver wire, I added Cordarelle Patterson in almost every single league, and I tweeted out, why is this guy not getting more love? He led the Falcons in rushing after week 1, had the most 10+ yard rushes in the NFL, even though he only saw 7 carries. And then we see the nice increase in bump in usage. 43% of the backfield touches, 12 of 28. That's up from 33% in week 1. 13% target share, up from 5%. All 3, most importantly, all 3 of the team's backfield opportunities, 2 carries and 1 target within the 10-yard line. He became like the de facto goal line back here, did Cordarelle Patterson. And so also, to just add a little cherry on top to the nice usage, he also has running back and receiver eligibility in Yahoo. You could put him as your wide receiver 3. Imagine if Mike Davis got hurt and you had like a 25-touch running back as your wide receiver 3. That alone makes him worth 20% plus fab. I did drop him for Christian Kirk in a league, and now I'm kicking myself. I wish I had dropped Tony Jones instead. But I would be going to the well to go get this guy if I had a need at receiver, running back, or just want to add some explosive talent on the bench. He's looking really good. You see him navigating the lanes. Kind of reminds you of like a very poor man's, very like broke man's Derrick Henry, but the way his upright running style, it seems to fit what Arthur Smith wants to do. And Smith, on what's clearly going to be a lost season, why not ride this guy and see what you have? I think we're going to see Mike Davis's workload continue to get tapered out, and the expense of him is going to come to the boon of Cordarelle Patterson. I love this guy, only 15% owned, so much more likely to be out there than Rondale Moore, and well worth blowing that money for. And again, more of you guys coming in, getting your questions in. We'll be happy to answer every single one we get. So keep them coming in. Keep giving that thumbs up if you don't mind, to help us get out to more people. Would be greatly appreciated. But I'm looking forward to answering all these questions as they come in. Last week's show was amazing. Would love to top that even more. Another guy, just kind of de facto the upside he would have if Dalvin Cook misses time. 33% owned Alexander Madison, or rostered rather. I'd say he's worth about 10% of your fab, so he's probably going to go for more. That's because we don't know yet what Cook's status is. He's battling a quote-unquote little ankle sprain. He got knocked out twice in the game, but did return to action. Looked like a monster of all time, 140 yards or so. That being said, Madison, should he go down? The last time we saw Madison fill in for Cook, he had 145 yards and 2 TDs. Fits the zone blocking scheme very well. This offense is putting up even more points than last year. I think Madison would be an immediate plug-in high-end RB2 should Cook miss this upcoming game against the Seahawks, who we just saw Derrick Henry batter for an insane 45 fantasy points. I'm not saying Madison will do that, but the matchup isn't bad at all for him if he is getting spot start duty, and he should just be stashed anyways. Given that the fragility we've seen in the past with Dalvin Cook, his handcuff should be owned, whether by the owner of Dalvin Cook or by you to be the nuisance and cockblock the owner of Dalvin Cook. So I really like Alexander Madison as an ad this week. Check if he's out there as a potential bench stash for you. Moving forward in terms of usability right off the bat, Tim Patrick, we highlighted him last week, only 22% rostered right now. So I want to continue to highlight this guy. I think he's well worth 8 to 10% of your fab right now because he's a beast. I mean, he ran the most routes of the Broncos this week. Yes, Sutton, the clear alpha. I mean, there's no debating that. 12 targets, 35% target share, 159 yards, leading week 2 in yardage. I mean, yes, Sutton is the guy. Love the fit with Teddy Bridgewater, too. I mean, that was all covered in yesterday's Rogers Fowler show. Go check that out if you already missed it. One of the best, just evergreen type of performance content we have. This will be gone tomorrow. Won't matter after the waivers are processed. Whereas, that's a great piece of content if you missed that one yesterday. But, Tim Patrick just continues to get it done. Did score in this contest. Average, 7.8 depth per target. Not bad. 12 fantasy points in back-to-back games. And then you look back to last year, once we had Cortland Sutton knocked out and he was the clear number 2. He was very steady, 10-plus fantasy points in nearly every start. He's very, very dependable. He led PFF's metric on 20-plus yards on contested catch rate. He caught nearly all of them. And Bridgewater's slinging it down the field. We're going to talk about Bridgewater in just a couple players. I really, really like this Tim Patrick guy. He just doesn't seem sexy. I mean, the name is Tim Patrick. Yay. But ultimately, when he's in your lineup, he's getting it done for you. So definitely a quality wide receiver 3, at least until Judy's back. Also, J.D. McKissic coming back from an awful, non-existent week 1, cut by many owners, and then back from the dead after we saw that Gibson fumble. I wonder if this was a, kind of punishment after Gibson was 23-1. We then saw 9 touches coming McKissic's way as compared to 15 for Antonio Gibson. And McKissic did more with his work. 5 catches, 83 yards on 6 targets, 4 rushes for 10 yards, but most frustratingly, got the goal line plunge in that 2-minute no-huddle offense. That's his role. He kills it on third down situations and a no-minute 2-huddle drill, 2-minute no-huddle drill. Sorry, getting the words jumbled up there. It's not exciting. It's not sexy, but it gets you value. This guy did lead the league in running back targets last year with 100, second in receptions. Now, without Alex Smith, the check down king, that's not going to happen again. But he saw 13.6% target share from Taylor Heineke compared to just 4.5% for Antonio Gibson. That's a sign of things to come. You're going to enjoy having J.D. McKissic as a potential, it's like a James White light, like a poor man's James White this year. So if you miss out on James White, but McKissic's there, usable flex option, at least to bridge you to a Javonte Williams or someone more exciting, ideally. Then we got a few quarterbacks I want to go through in a row. And I know a lot of you guys might not need quarterbacks in 1 QB leagues, but these guys might be better than your starter right now. Derek Carr, the highlight of this list, only 26% rostered. I think he's well worth 4 to 5. And the reason these guys are a little bit lower on the fab is there's 3 of them that you can get. So I would say a general strategy for this week's waiver wire is I'm not blowing my load on really anyone other than, of course, those first 6 names I highlighted at the top. If one of them fell, Rondale Moore, maybe Cordarrelle Patterson if I really need an injection of playmaking upside. Like my fantasy team's the Falcons, for example, and they need playmaking upside. If my situation mirrors that, maybe I'll go below some. Similarly, I'm kind of just going to wake up early at 5 a.m. and see who's out there and just kind of scoop the remains is most likely my strategy this week. That's why I wouldn't blow my load to go get Derek Carr because there's 3 other guys I really like at QB. But that being said, the guy now has the 7th most passing yards of all time across the first 2 games. 382, over 400 in week 1. Just slinging it. You don't know how or why. The weapons aren't great. outside of Darren Waller, but they're going deep. They're showing more aggressiveness. It seems like it's finally this Gruden and Carr marriage is coming to fruition. Now, another reason not to blow your load completely. There was a big ankle injury here. He played through it. He gutted it out, but they might let this guy rest given how good he's looked early on. So double check what the health status is of Derek Carr. But if you need a QB, he's a great option. Potentially a safer guy that you know you could plug in right away is Teddy Bridgewater, only 17% rostered. Another guy worth 4 to 5% of your budget. He's the QB 12 and fantasy. Carr, the QB 9 right now. Teddy Bridgewater, the QB 12, a QB 1. He's gone over 20 fantasy points in back-to-back starts, averaging almost 22 a game. He got 328, 2 touchdowns, even without Jerry Jeudy. And maybe the most shocking thing about Teddy Bridgewater this year is he leads the league in pass attempts over 20 yards. He's slinging. It's always been intermediate, Teddy, conservative guy, just no upside, right? Well, he's slinging it right now. He's letting Cortland Sutton go downfield and go do his thing. He's ripping it down the field to KJ Hamler, Noah Fant. He's got weapons, even without Jeudy. And then when Jeudy comes back, it's going to be even better down the stretch. He gets the Jets coming up, pretty cakewalk schedule. So I know it's not like a sexy play, but Teddy Bridgewater just very high up, like high floor, pretty good ceiling, over 20 points. Again, back-to-back weeks. Definitely a usable quarterback out there in a lot of leagues. Meanwhile, Sam Darnold, the last QB I want to go over, 15% rostered. He's the lowest upside of these guys, in my opinion, but QB 15, so he's getting it done. He's been over 19 fantasy points in back-to-back weeks. I love this Joe Brady offense. He's got Christian McCaffrey. He's dumped it off to him 13 of his 73 throws. Will always get him some nice yardage. But DJ Moore emerging as that number 1 to go deep and intermediate, looking beautiful. And then you got Robbie Anderson, 21 yards depth of target, just going down the field as a potential bomb play. And why not toss in Terrace Marshall? The weapons cabinet is very solid. Joe Brady's play calling has looked solid so far. And Darnold's looking like it was truly the Jets were the problem and not him. He's playing great games, 2-0 so far to start the year. Now you get Houston, who's 7th lowest in pressure rate right now, just not a good defense. I think they've held up decently in terms of the quarterback points per game. Their secondary is atrocious. That's because of the competition they face so far. I think ultimately, between Trevor Lawrence and Baker Mayfield playing just mediocre, they didn't need to really go crazy. I think Darnold could come out on Thursday Night Football and get you a nice 22 fantasy point performance there. So I really like him. Now, this is the guy, he's going to be in top 5 most lists. I think he's kind of the fool's gold of this week, but still, if he goes for cheap enough, worth seeing. That's Henry Ruggs. So with the good, saw 7 targets, career high. That's kind of the bad. We're going to get there in a sec. 5 catches, 113 and a TD. 61-yard bomb. Got deep on a nice ballsy call by the Raiders to kind of seal the deal. I love that. He's going to definitely have a few more bombs on the season, but my question is how regularly are those going to come, considering the fact that entering the game, his career high in targets was 5. That had happened like once in his NFL career. He's under 4 targets in almost every single game last year. Maybe this was a signal of things to come, and Ruggs obviously has elite 99th percentile speed, could emerge as a monster. They drafted him to be their version of Tyreek Hill. I still don't trust it. I think he's going to go for more than I'd be willing to pay. As you can see, 4 to 5%. If you can get that, gets the job done, great. Stash him. See what happens. Why not? But I'm hesitant to shove my chips all in. Let me know if you guys think differently in the comments. As you guys continue on, we got about 40 comments now. Love it. Keep those things ripping, and thumbs up again. Help us get out to more people, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, retweets, shares, all that good stuff would be greatly appreciated. Speaking of deep threats, and one I actually I believe in, rookie KJ Osborne for the Minnesota Vikings. He's seen a 19.2% and 18.8% target share over these first 2 weeks. That's not very far off. I mean, tied Justin Jefferson in week 1 targets. That did explode to 31% in week 2 for Jefferson, right around Thielen's 21 and 21% in back-to-back weeks. Osborne's not far off. It's kind of, that injury to Irv Smith opened up a spot for a number 3 to emerge. And it's clear that that's Osborne right now. He got 91 yards and a TD on 6 targets, 5 catches in their week 2 loss. Play action bomb. He's kind of that field stretcher that's Kirk Cousins will rip it to. He's shown some comfort level with this now. He leads Minnesota. He leads these insane receivers of Thielen and Jefferson. Osborne's their leader right now with 167 yards. Mike Zimmer is continuing to use 11 personnel as their base package. Surprising. I didn't expect that. I really think this guy could be a viable flex wide receiver 3, especially in games like this week coming up against Seattle. They're going to need points. Kirk Cousins playing very well. I think worth 4 to 5% stab. You know, rather than blow 20% of your fab to go get Ruggs, go get Osborne, who I think is going to be steadier than Ruggs the rest of the year. Another guy that kind of fits that mold as well, Cephas. I should probably know how to say this by now, especially considering the guy has seen 12 targets since the fourth quarter of week 1. Nobody other than Hawkinson has seen that many on the lines. He leads the team with 3 end zone targets. He has 2 touchdowns as a result these first 2 weeks. Also can get deep. You saw it in the 46-yard bomb to start off the game, then calls in a 5-yard touchdown. Almost had a dirty one-handed TD grab. So they love him in the red zone. Yeah, Tyrell Williams was out. I don't know if this will continue if he returns and when he returns, but it's looking like Quintez Cephas is the number 1 on a team that's going to have to chuck. Goff is sneaky, the QB8 in fantasy right now. That defense blows. They're going to constantly be playing catch-up, and this might be their number 1 weapon. I think you'll get him for free. I don't think many people are on him because of the Monday night game. A lot of waiver wire articles might have skipped over him. I really like Quintez. I think he could really be a viable weapon moving forward. I saw his name pop up in the comments. I like that. I agree. And last but not least, in terms of just a streamer, you just need 1 week stopgap fill-in. I think Zach Pascal, a lock to find the end zone this week against Tennessee. He again found the end zone with 64 yards of TD on 5 catches against the Rams. A good defense, some of the best corners in the league. After scoring 2 touchdowns in week 1, the guy is an end zone magnet, and that now gives him 7 touchdowns in his last 6 games, dating back into the playoffs. Just a red zone monster. Now, of course, a lot of this ends up, depending on Carson Wentz, who has sprained both of his ankles somehow, getting sacked. Crazy. But he tied Michael Pittman in terms of snaps, 60, played them all, every snap player. He's not 91% snap player, I guess. I shouldn't over-exaggerate here, but that's very solid in my opinion. 41 routes run compared to 42 for Michael Pittman and 6 looks. Very clear-cut role, but the reason why I really like him is week 3 against Tennessee Titans, the number 1 in terms of points allowed to the wide receiver position. I'm hammering this guy's scoring a touchdown this week. Would bank on that. With all my fancy lines, I will roll the dice if I need a receiver 3 and toss in Zach Pascal. And just a couple other names to check for, maybe stash and hold. No immediate usability because neither of them are playing right now. They're on the IR, but they could, if you have an IR spot. Just want to shout out Jeff Wilson. With all these injuries to the positions, Trey Sermon, concussion, JaMychal Hasty likely missing multiple weeks with an ankle injury. Elijah Mitchell has a shoulder injury. He seems to be okay. Seems like he will be playing. Either way, by midseason, you can just see this is a nightmare of injuries. Jeff Wilson was a fantasy league winner, scored 10 touchdowns last year in only 13 games played, had multiple RB1 weeks, including the championship game. I love Jeff Wilson, and they love him too, especially Kyle Shanahan. He already talked about, I cannot wait to get this guy back, probably sooner than we were expecting. Love to see that. Toss him in your IR spot, stash this guy, because we've already hyped up this playoff schedule. Houston, Titans, Cincinnati, Atlanta Falcons over the last 4 weeks. Jeff Wilson should be back for there. So he could be your running back too, down the stretch run and just pulverize those teams. But I also really like stashing Rashod Bateman. We're seeing that they're going to really rely on Lamar Jackson this year. His legs more so than anything, 100 yards and 2 TDs. But they're also chucking it more than they have in past years. And Bateman's going to give him a weapon he's never had, this possession, chain moving. You know, Stephon Diggs was his comparison coming out. That's a lofty comparison. But, man, his college highlights, this guy could be a true alpha that you can stash right now, whether it's on your IR or just your last spot on the bench. Should be back. He was started on the short-term IR. We haven't gotten any updates. You know, is he progressing? Should he be back after that? But he could be back as early as next week based on that short-term IR. So we'll find out. I love stashing and holding both of those guys for sure. And that wraps it on up, folks, in terms of my top 12 waiver wire pickups. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, give that a thumbs up. Let us know in the comments if we can do anything better. And now, speaking of comments, let's get to yours. About 45 questions. Get more in if we need them. Let's hear what we got, folks. Should I drop Lat Murray for Michael Carter? Drafted Carter, but dropped him for Eli Mitchell. I could see that. Carter looked good, and they were hyping him up after the game, saying, why was the snaps decreasing for Tevin Coleman? They said because Michael Carter was running so well. I've long said he's the most valuable back here. I don't know that it's ever going to be a steady situation with all these Jets guys. I can't imagine Carter just becomes a workhorse and a bad off. It's still not a situation that has all that much upside, but he did look good. 59 yards and 11 carries. I like him. I do. So I would probably hang on to Murray, though, because that backfield, he's the goal line guy, scored last week, scored in back-to-back weeks. I think that's more dependable, in my opinion, than Michael Carter. But it's close. Carter has the higher upside for sure. Hype time. What up, Michael Schneider? Great to see you, brother. Hyped to see you, for sure. What up to India? Wolfie, I'm struggling. Who would you drop for Cordarrelle? Hamler, Gabe Davis, Sammy Watkins, or Crowder? I mean, any of them? They're all useless. Why did you pick them up last week when I told you to, India? Come on. I would say my first cut would probably be Crowder. I guess we haven't seen what he can do yet. Hamler is you'll never be able to depend on this guy. He'll have some blow-ups. He might blow up because you cut him this week. Probably will. Gabe Davis, has upside if anything happens, so I probably wouldn't cut him. And Watkins seems like he's going to have a clear role. So I'd say Hamler or Crowder, depending on which one you want to see more of. But any of those guys, I truly would have Crowder above literally every single one of them. Forgot Michael Carter. I had him on the list, but I didn't think he was somebody I really needed to talk about. Let's Cook 420. I love the name. You could go for him. I mean, 11 carries, 59 yards, and looked good. It's getting that backfield doesn't interest me. The team looks bad, and it's going to be a three-headed nightmare all year. Drop Callaway or Shenault? Yes. For Mike Williams? How's Mike Williams out there? I would bid every single dollar I have for Mike Williams. I would drop both of those guys to make sure I get him if that's what it took. Yes, absolutely. Drop both of those guys. Either one. I would drop Callaway first, but Shenault can be cut, especially for Mike Williams. I'm in there. I got offered Mike Evans for a 22 first pick. In my dynasty thoughts. So dynasty trades are always tricky to evaluate. Mike Evans can help you get there. And I think he also has at least 5 to 6 more years left. So I would probably take that if you're ready to win a title this year. If you're in the middle of a rebuild and a productive struggle, then no, of course not. You want to get as many firsts as you can. But in a class that's projected to be a little bit weaker, especially if that first is going to be later in the first, then yes, Michael, I would pull that trigger. Quintus Cephas beat the waiver hunters. I like that, Slim. I said that at the top. I'm with you. I think that guy is definitely one I would go for. Hell yeah, Nate Shaw. Great to see you, man. How's Robbie Thomas? Tell him I say hello. I'm sure he loves the Wolf, right? Cephas had elite. Not sure what you're going for, but yes, he had a great week in terms of usage. Can you rank Pollard, Michelle, McKissick, Patterson? In my eyes, that's the order. Michelle's big up in the air in terms of what's the status for Darrell Henderson. Should Henderson miss a week or multiple, he'd probably be towards the top. I would only switch on this list Patterson with McKissick. I think Patterson has a little bit more upside, even if he's a little bit less of a floor. I like that a lot. But yes, I would go Pollard, definitely top. Michelle, I'd say probably, even if we don't hear anything about Henderson, still above those guys, just because the upside is very real if and when Henderson goes down. And then Patterson for me, I would say. Seller hold Woods, Claypool, Waddle, and Fuller. How would you do it? I don't know what you're asking in the end. Sell for what? What's the offer? I don't know. So that's that. Sorry, bud, but I love it. I know you show up most of these days. I don't know how to answer this. I'm not really thrilled about any of them. I like Waddle probably. Obviously, Woods is the highest in my rest of the season big board, but I'm nervous that Kupp is the true alpha. Claypool, it's just going to be inconsistent all year. Would definitely sell if I could get something worthy. And then Waddle and Fuller, it's I don't know. We haven't seen Fuller play that. How could I assess that? We have no data. My guess is Fuller, that's just going to be a nightmare with those two on the field. If you can get great value for any of these guys, I would sell them. Yes. There's no need to hold on any of them. Do I trade Evans for AJB or Evans for Swift and Marvin Jones? Good question, Luke. I mean, that depends on team needs. If you need a running back, I think Swift and Marvin Jones, I love Marvin Jones' target share. I'll start by saying I would do either of these deals. I think you'd be buying low on A.J. Brown at a nice price right there. He's due for an explosion, and as early as this week against Indy, who's giving up the 7th most points to receivers. You could do that, but if you need the running back, I would probably go for the Swift and Marvin Jones. You love what Swift's doing, looking so explosive here. Big fan of that. Would you hold Gibson? Probably, but again, if you could sell him for some good value right now, I don't think McKissick's going away. So all of this is relative to the end. I'm sorry, but that's just, you know better. You've been here too long. Ask better questions at the end. Last match, we picked Patterson over Michael Carr. Let's cook 420. Go for it. I want no interest in this backfield. People were mocking me for even recommending Patterson last week, and now he's one of the top 2 or 3 waiver wire priorities. And Michael Carter, I think he was like 56% owned, so he didn't even make the list for me. Like I looked and he wasn't going to qualify. So if you really want Carter, go for it. But I have no interest in that. I would say Patterson's going to outscore Michael Carter on the season. Diggs and Elijah Mitchell for Saquon. Who wins? I'd rather. Again, all these trade questions are kind of frustrating because it's like I don't know what your team looked like. I probably prefer. I don't think Elijah Mitchell is going to be much Rico beats. I would probably, though, still say like Diggs for Saquon would have almost been a straight up win anyways. So I probably would have gone that Michael Carter ain't shit. Yeah, I agree. One of 3 backs on the worst team of football. Thank you, Gabby. Somebody speaking some sense into Mr. 420 Cooks. Zeke, what to do? Hold? I would sell as fast as I can if you could. Again, as we said, almost equal touches to Tony Pollard, who looked better. I don't know that that's going to change. So I would be selling if I could jump in Joe. What do I do with Pollard? Do I flex him over Edmonds? I wouldn't this week, Jeremiah, just because you got Edmonds facing the Jags. But you definitely hold and you see what happens here. It's great to own him. I wouldn't start him quite yet if you have an option like Edmonds. No. Waiver Wolf, Nate Shaw, I love you, brother. Do I trade Julio and Carson for Josh Allen and Kamara? Yeah, Charlie Prebs. Like, I'm nervous about Kamara. I am. I'm even recommending like sell while his value is as high as can be because this offense makes me nervous. But this would be buying about as low as you can. Like Julio up and down all year, in my opinion. Carson, I love, but you're getting. You think you're buying very low on 2 elite fantasy products if you do this Preble. I like it. Carter looked great yesterday, very explosive. Yeah, he looked great at a pile of shit on the worst team in football. Yeah, I guess Patterson's the same argument there too. Let's cook, but I'm just not. You love him. I'm great. I'm glad you do. I'm just not into that. How much fab would you spend on Jeff Wilson? Not a ton. Playing the fantasy footballers Meglable, so everyone's probably going to bid on him since they mentioned on their pod. Yeah, everybody is. I don't think he's worth like blowing your load for though, because it's so inconsistent. We don't know when he's going to be back, but $5, like you probably won't get him there. So how much do you value him? I like putting him in the IR spots. I wish you had him last week, Ben. We talked about him last week. But yeah, I'd just say $5 to $8. Put our IR stash if you know you're going to be down there in the stretch. Tim Patrick CPA, exactly. So boring, but just gets the job done. The Carr play. I don't know what your bleep is, but swear of choice, insert it. Slim. Carr will get started by 40% league. The Carr we know and love will have 3 points. I don't know. I would normally be like, yep, I agree, Slim. This Carr seems to be more willing to push it downfield. Gruden's calling better offenses. Maybe Ruggs has actually emerged. This seems, after week 1, I wasn't ready to buy, but seeing it in back-to-back weeks against 2 better, I guess the Ravens a pretty bad defense. Still though, I'm in it. I'm into it. So I would bid there as well. Again, we got 46 people here, only 11 likes. Come on, get those up, guys. Keep getting those like numbers up. It's greatly appreciated. It helps us continue to grow our pack. Pick up Rondale Moore and drop. Yep, I would do that. I'd drop Callaway for Rondale Moore. I'd like to stash him, as you say there, and just keep saying what will happen. But, it's tricky. Stop saying blow your load. Won't blow the load. Kyle Tunes. How are we feeling about Herbert? I have him in 3 of 4 leagues, and I'm not feeling well about it. I'd feel fine. I mean, against the Cowboys, it should have gotten done, and it didn't, so that would make me a little bit nervous, but I'm not panicking quite yet. I think he'll be just fine. Don't worry there. Edwards over Ruggs. Again, I don't really love either. I think it's as good as they're looking. Like, in terms of Carr, I just don't trust this offense, really. I think Carr will continue to get it done, but Waller's really the only one I want. Patterson or Sony, half PPR. I'd go Sony in terms of long time. If you need the immediate usability, then it's maybe Patterson, but I prefer Sony if in a vacuum. He looked good on his 10 carries, 46 yards. Little Mikey Carter, 100 yards on Sunday. Put it in the bet. So a couple people here loving Mikey Carter. Okay, go for it, folks. Go for it. Not for me. Callaway, Sermon, Sherfield, all drops. Any of them, yep. I would still hold out for Ayuk, though, Tunes. But any of the other threes, I would go Sherfield drop first, then Callaway, then Sermon. But you could drop any of the three, yes. Would you start Rondale this week? You could. He's facing the Jags. I mean, depends on who the other options are. My rankings are up at roastreetjournal.com. I'll have my ranking show tomorrow at 7 p.m. So check that out. But yeah, depending on the other options, I absolutely would. Cooper Kupp or DK Metcalf? I really honestly like Cooper Kupp. It's crazy to say, but 36% target share. You know, the complete narrative should be sell high on Kupp, buy low on Metcalf. But I think anybody selling high on Cooper Kupp's going to really regret it. He could go down as the number 3 wide receiver in fantasy this year. That rapport is insane. The breakfast, I buy it. The breakfast narrative. They ate breakfast every day. You can't eat breakfast with someone you don't love. They love each other. He's getting moved in the backfield, catching TDs. I love Cooper Kupp. I'd take him over Metcalf. I really would. KH Flight, half PPR. Don't have Sanders. Drop Gainwell for Patterson. I probably would. I think there's more upside to Patterson, and there's more usability. If anything happened to Sanders, of course, that would suck. You know, he's going to be, Gainwell will go off. But for now, yeah. Should I drop Murray and Hopkins, or trade Murray and Hopkins, or Ridley for Mahomes and Hill? I would probably go Ridley. I don't know if I want to mess with Murray, but you're getting Tyreek. I know he had a dud, but yeah, I would probably pull this trigger. But that sucks to give up Murray too, as much as he's killing it. But I would give up Ridley instead of Hopkins, and then I would do that deal. Wolf, I'm thinking Sanders is a really good buy low. I'm already skinny at running back my main home league. Should I sniff the Sanders cheese? I'm into Sanders. 3 of his 5 games with Jalen Hurts, he's been a top 12 guy. So I'm into that. Yeah, I like that, Matt Duck. Absolutely. And same question for Swift. Yeah, I'd even rather buy low on Swift. Really encouraged by how good he's looking right now, how much they use those waiver wire running backs. Wolf offered Edmonds for CEH. They took Melvin Gordon straight from someone else instead. Ew. But I wouldn't be going after. I see a lot of buy low on CEH as low as he's ever going to be. Well, I don't know. I'm nervous about that. Cooper Kupp, I already answered that one for you. You're a bum buy. Thank you. Appreciate it. Would you flex Cooks or Pittman over Damian Harris or James Robinson, half PPR? I would definitely over James Robinson. I don't even want to touch him. Not benching Debo or Sutton. This is a tough one because Cooks is almost pacing the league in targets right now. I'd probably go him, but Pittman does get Tennessee. And you got the Davis Mill question. So that makes me a little nervous there, Andres. Come back tomorrow. Let me look at my rankings and get you a better answer tomorrow, 7 p.m. My gut says Cooks right now, though. If you needed the answer, you can't come back today or tomorrow, rather. How much for Rondale? I'd said 30% or so, Mike Clay. And you want the case? Because they rewind the show and find on out. Kareem Hunt or Mike Williams, PPR? Mike Williams. I mean, I think this guy's a monster. I really do. He's got that X roll unlocked. That was some of the rare hype that just truly, truly panned out. So I really like Mike Williams the rest of the year. He's going to kill it. Boss, what's good, brother? It's been a while. Where's BK? Get the boys back in the broadcast. It's great to see you guys. We got to have a reunion soon. Jaden Mercado, Marvin Jones Jr. or Julio? I mean, it's got to be Julio. But I do love Marvin Jones leading that team in targets back-to-back weeks, but it's Julio, Jaden. Drop Ayuk and Chenault for Marquise Brown and Shepard? Yes, both of them. Could pick up Waddle, Jones, Moore. I prefer Brown and Shepard. I don't know how those guys are out there, but yes, Sarah Alley. Pick those guys up immediately. Damian Harris turning into a must start. I have Najee and Jones. Not over either of those guys. Maybe as a flex, but depends on your receivers. He's looking good consistent volume, but you're never putting him in over, I guess maybe over Najee. Aaron Jones is a lock. Najee, you're probably still going Najee, though. Pittman or Rondale Moore? I like Pittman more if that's an option. Catching 129 yards against Jalen Ramsey's no joke. 8 catches, 12 targets. I mean, he was a hog. So give me him, especially coming up against the Titans. I really like that. Who do you prefer, Joe Mixon or Ridley? I like Mixon. No, he had coming off a bum week, but 80% of the carries in back-to-back weeks. He's one of the few very true workhorses here, and that offense will get their bearings back together. EK Pugh, flex CEH, Cooks, Rondale Moore, or Patterson. Probably going Cooks here. I mean, CEH is tempting. The Chargers are giving up top 7 in terms of points allowed to running backs, if you know they're going to try to get this guy going. Mitch Chav is a great fan, big Chiefs fan, says after CH fumbled last year, they really tried to ride him early and get him going. They might do that this week. But I love Brandon Cook's workload. But the nerve-wracking thing there is EK Hughes. He plays on Thursday, so you don't want him in your flex. You put him in your receiver spot. Pollard being used, so Zeke will be 4 second half. Maybe. Pollard's also looking better, though, Slim. So there's like 2 potential reasons for this. And again, guys, thumbs up. Keep getting us up to more people. Shares, likes, retweets, all that good stuff. So appreciate it. Drop Corey Davis or Michael Thomas for more. Probably not. Maybe Davis, though, especially if you're not using Davis and it's more about like upside. Jeremiah, I do think Moore has potentially more upside than Davis, but one bad week for Davis after a 22-point effort. Yeah, you wouldn't be asking this question last week, so I would be waiting that one. Do you see Carson outdoing Barkley rest of the season? I would rather have Barkley. Carson's good goal line back, but you saw it this week, like 15 carries for 30 yards. Not all that exciting as a runner. We'll get his touchdowns. Is a bruiser, but I really think Barkley's a great buy low right now. 84% of the snaps, still getting his cutting ability back, but that will come. And he's got Atlanta this week, a great spot for that to happen. Who has the better year? I mean, obviously Barkley's starting in a hole here, but I think rest of the season, if you gave me the option, one or the other, I'd go Saquon. I did the same exact move to India. Damn it. So yeah, what kind of mouth breather would do such a thing? Myself included. So yeah, I did it too. We're both going to have to go back and go get him, my man. Should I drop Lat Murray for Osborne? I have faith in Osborne, and I don't really need Murray. I have Eckler, Gibson, Edmonds, Eli, and Gaskin. Yeah, I might do that then. I do like the touchdown upside of him, but I really think, yeah, Osborne's probably a better stash given your team needs there. How are you feeling about Tannehill rest of the season? Not great, Prebz. Not great. You saw 347 this week, so that was nice in terms of yardage, but like that's the ceiling probably in yardage. And then you saw how quickly Derrick Henry could vulture every score as they get in close. So I'm not feeling great about it. Picked up Patterson instead of Wilson. Wasn't thinking and could have got them both by putting them in the IR. Ben, would have been a great move. Wish you had pulled that off. Have a waiver placed more for Callaway. I think you definitely do that. I'm in with you. Who benefits with Landry on IR? Probably Odell Beckham when he comes back, but maybe also Peoples-Jones, Schwartz. I don't think it's a high enough volume attack that I really need these secondary guys, though. It's Odell Beckham. Jared Cook or Evan Ingram? Jared Cook for me. Down week, but he almost had a touchdown. He got called back. So solid start to the year for him. Edwards, just a stash. Yeah, he's okay. I agree with you. I think Bateman and IR is a good play. Damian Harris for Phil Lindsay and Tyler Boyd? No, both of those guys are crap. Like, I'm not giving up someone good for crap. Thoughts on Jax Patrick? Maybe he's the guy that becomes the running back, Aladdin, for the 49ers. Did good in the XFL, but that's also the XFL. Worth a pickup. I'd probably pick up Kerryon Johnson first if I'm trying to stash and take a stab at who emerges in this backfield should Mitchell be out. I think Mitchell's going to play, though, and it's going to be much ado about nothing. For the Evans trade, I'm in win now mode, and I'll get Brady Evans. Yeah, you go for that, Michael. Absolutely with that roster. Thanks for the trade, by the way. I ended up getting Najee and Melvin for AJB and Singletary. I like that. I think it's a good move. AJB, though, could really blow up. We'll see. I'd be trying to move Melvin, too. I think he's going to fizzle out the stretch. Cooper or Terry this weekend. Also, you think it's Saquon's time yet? So if you can only go one of them, I'd probably go Cooper. Terry gets a tough matchup. I can't remember exactly who it was off the top of my head. But I remember ranking him lower than Cooper when I was doing that. And I do think it's Saquon's time this week. This is when I get him back in the lineups. 84% of the snaps, what I needed to see. Now back against Atlanta. I love it. Woods or D. Smith or Lat Murray in the flex. I'm going to go Woods there. Devonta's really close, though. Jonathan Taylor, buy low. Yeah, I think so, Michael Vest. Absolutely. He had an 18-yard touchdown call back in week 1. He got stuffed at the goal line like 3 different times. I think that's definitely an anomaly. This guy is not somebody, the Rams up front. That's why that happened. If he continues to get that type of goal line usage, it's not only a matter of time before he's having 2 touchdown days. I would absolutely buy low on Michael Vest. Buy, yes. Ain't no way so. Someone called you a bum. Yeah, exactly, Preble. Hey, whatever. Get on out of here, folks. I don't care. You don't like it? Don't be here. All good. You're not a bum. You're the bomb. Yeah, clearly it's impacting me. I've been called a whole lot worse, Jeremiah, but I appreciate your guys' kind words. Absolutely. James Robinson or White, half PPR. Give me White. I'm not trusting James Robinson until I see it. It's the possible QB injuries at the Texans and Colts that make putting either in risky. Yeah, exactly, Andre. So, like, that's why we need to know more. We at least know who it is for the Texans. It's Davis Mills. He threw a touchdown to Cooks last week, so feel good about that. But if we have Wentz, I'd rather have Pittman, in my opinion. Would it be worth it to get Kupp given his current value? I might offer Gibson and Claypool. That probably wouldn't get auto-rejected. If you have the running back depth to get rid of Gibson and do that, I would. You're kind of buying high, but I think, like, I don't know that this is going to cool off. Like, obviously, it won't be 40 points every week like it has been, but I think it's going to be pretty damn steady. Kupp is looking like one of those round 4 league winners this year. He's going to go down as a league winner. Drop one to Ayuk or Myers. I think I'm still trying to hold on to Ayuk. Myers, what's the upside here? What's the play? He's not going to score touchdowns. He hasn't scored yet in his professional career. I love the slot role for the Pats. I do. But they're just so slow game managing mode, which, like, you're going to get 5 catches, 50 yards. Full PPR, it has its place. But I'd hold out for Ayuk and see what happens if that's the case. 12 team, 2 QB league. I'm getting right at 8:06 at 8:15 or so. I'm going to cut this because I got to go make my own waiver wire move. So about 10 more minutes, guys. So keep them coming in. I'll try to get a little bit quicker here to try to get to all you guys. 12 team, 2 QB super flex strategy for picking up players. It's probably going to be very thin. So yeah, I mean, it just QBs become infinitely more valuable. Like, there's probably not Derek Carr and Teddy Bridgewater out there, but you got to prioritize those guys if and when they happen. CD Lamb or Zeke. Dirty Chic. I was good to see you, brother. It's been a while since we caught up. Again, depends on team needs, right? I think push comes to shove, CD Lamb's probably going to be steadier. I'm nervous about Zeke's role with Pollard here. Like, he did okay, 70 yards and a touchdown. That might be what he does on a weekly basis, but Lamb's pacing this team in targets, and on the games they're going to shoot out, he's going to be a beast. I'd probably go Lamb, but it's close. It is close. Depends on your team, really. Looking forward to hearing about that mythical sleeper. Yeah, right? Doesn't really exist. If you want one, Andres, and you're welcome for the answers. Happy. Thanks for being here and interacting with us. Juwan Johnson could be intriguing. A wide receiver, tight end hybrid. Gets the money looks. Done with Troutman there, obviously. I never was really in on him, but he could be your little sleeper there. Ben Thompson, Daniel Jones, or Teddy Bridge. I go Teddy Bridge. Both have great matchups. Obviously, Atlanta for Jones and Bridge. But Bridge has been getting it done, over 20 fantasy points in both weeks at the Jets. I'm going with that. Hat PPR, drop one for Moore. Gordon, Sermon, Mooney, Murray, Edwards, or Fuller. I don't know who Edwards is, but I'm probably going Sermon here. I'm worried about him. Can you say Emily is a rat, please? Emily is a rat. There you go. I don't know what you mean, but there you go. I have Zeke, A. Jones, Sanders, Pollard, Gainwell, Mitchell, Carter on my team. 2-0 by a mile. Love to hear it, Slim 74. Wide receiver heavy teams are in real trouble. I've never been a 0 RB guy. I never understood that strategy. So, yeah, I'm with you. Deontay injury looks serious. I don't know. Tomlin came out and said today, he's looking better, but wouldn't call it great. And then he tweeted something like the comeback is going to be even better. Not things you really want to hear by any means, Jeremiah. So I'm guessing he's going to be a few weeks here. Corey Davis, though, isn't really a bad play in his place. Yeah, he had one bad week. I think he'll shake that off. He looked like the true alpha. But again, there's plenty of good waiver wire receivers we've talked about too. If you want to stream like a Zach Pascal touchdown option, Tim Patrick, good options out there. Vanilla Vic, Daniel Jones, you liking the speedy QB? great QB nickname there. 98 rushing yards. At minimum, I don't really love playing him. He makes me so nervous to ever start. As soon as you trust him, he's going to get you like 2 points. But I always will hammer his rushing prop. Like that's about as lock as you can get on a Sunday. OBJ or Michael Thomas rest of the season? I'd probably go OBJ. You got that Landry injury. This passing attack is looking just atrocious for New Orleans. I'm not really looking to get a ton of pieces there. Favorite snack on Sundays? Good question. I I'm looking forward to bringing out the smoker I got for Christmas and making some pulled pork, some ribs. Haven't done it yet because Sunday mornings are so busy, but I got to get up early and do it one of these weekends. But, there's so many good things. Like just pizza is, of course, great. Nachos, like buffalo chick dip is always amazing. Really, whatever the girlfriend's making, because it's always delicious, is what I'll eat. Meatballs, stuffed with mozzarella cheese, amazing. Great moves all around. Just pulled off an auto smash trade. Swift and Curtis Samuel for Calvin Ridley. Yeah, I would definitely do that, Omar. Not even a second thought. Bam. Good win there. Love it, Omar. Good for you, brother. Sell Aaron Jones. He's a bum. Yeah, seriously. What a monster day. 4 touchdowns. Insane. The last person to do it on Monday Night Football was Marshall Faulk. Crazy. Pollard or Jay White. That depends on your team needs, Nicholas. Like White, if you need someone to start right away. Pollard, if you just want the upside. Much more upside. I now have Adams, not Afghan. Okay. Adams, Sutton, Ridley, and Robinson. Sickening pass catching core there. You have to sit one every week. That's going to be the tough question, though. Yeah, right? Come on, Wolf. The NC kid Myers is thrown. Yeah, there you go, right? He's thrown a touchdown. Hasn't caught one yet. There you go. They do excel in their converted QBs to slot receivers. That's damn true, Slim. Drop 1 for Patterson, the Millie C. Rojo or Connor. Either. I would rather have Patterson than either of those guys. I'd probably cut Connor first, but either. I don't think you need to hold on to either of them. Tannehill or D. Jones. I guess Connor gets Jacksonville this week, so if you don't want him to get used against you, maybe drop Rojo. But yeah, no reason to hold on to either of those guys. Tannehill or D. Jones. I'll go Tannehill there. Brian Edwards. Oh, I can't remember what the question was. Sorry, Christian. Andres picked up both last week. A pretty competitive league. Yeah, gonna hope Komet becomes the one. Yeah, we'll see. Already answered that one. Please don't ask your question a million times, Millie C. Hey, bud, my flex position. What up, Todd Exotic? Great to see you. Dumps and fire. Jamal, Rager, Connor, Pollard, or someone from the parking lot. Shaking my head. We just gave you 12 pickups that you could probably put in. I'd say Williams is the best of these options. Pollard, too, depending on the matchup, has a lot of week-to-week upside. But yeah, maybe you cycle through and see the names I've highlighted here. Like KJ Osborne probably out there. Cordarelle Patterson would love to have. Rondale Moore if he's somehow still out there. Nick DeVario. Should I trade Herbert? I have Hurts, Mixon, and Jared Cook for Saquon, T. Higgins, and Gesicki. I mean, Gesicki, Cook, whatever. Useless, both of them, so I don't care about that. So it comes down to Mixon and Cook. Mixon and Herbert for Saquon and T. Higgins. I would probably do that given your quarterback situation. You already have it. That way you get yourself, Saquon at a low price. You might be rolling out CMC and Saquon. Like you have a nice floor to have this guy fall into. So I would probably do this one for you, Nick. Yeah. Just trade Sutton and Swift for A.J. Brown-Hilaire. You could have either got the ultimate buy low on Hilaire. I don't know if I buy in this guy. He's looking bad at a machine. But I think you did buy low on A.J. Brown. I just really like Sutton and Swift, so I can't call you the clear winner here. But given that I really think A.J. Brown's going to rebound huge, I think you won that, but it's close. Drop Sermon, you sure could, Nick. Miles Sanders, Tyson, or Elijah Mitchell. Miles Sanders. I'm trusting him. Trade Zeke, Rob Moreno for Saquon straight up. I probably would do that. It's tricky, though. Zeke has the higher floor, but I think Saquon is rest of the season has some real upside, given that snap share. Question was, Edwards, Brian Edwards. Yeah, you could drop Edwards, too. I got you, Christian. Yeah, you could drop Brian Edwards or Sermon. Depends on what you need more. But either of those guys I would go for. Pats D or Ravens this week? Pats D, I would say. Facing off, who are they against? I know I had them rated high. I'll have to check that again and step to this. Great to see you, by the way. I remember you were on the that show I guess visited last year. Good to see you're still around, brother. Enough bragging. You like Sutton or Devonta Smith? I would go Sutton this week. Too much of an alpha to bench. Trade McCaffrey for A.J. Brown. Don't trade McCaffrey. No. Those are pretty nice offers, Josh, but I just still don't trade McCaffrey. Rager or Rondale? Rondale, definitely for me. Sutton, A.J. Brown, Deontay, A.B., Justin Jefferson, start 3. Without knowing the matchups, I think Deontay's probably not playing this week. And I probably bench AB after his disappearance this week getting the Rams. I would probably go Sutton, AJB, and Jefferson. Trey Lance worth stashing? Absolutely worth stashing. Yes. I've been on record saying he's going to be the next Mahomes when he takes over. Wolfpack, that's what we got, baby. Thank you so much. If you haven't already, that thumbs up button helps us get out to more people. Helps us get more fun, especially on YouTube. Subscriptions, hitting that bell if you liked what you saw. We'll be live every weekday, 7 p.m. Eastern time, except this week on Thursday. I'm flying out to Tennessee for my college roommate's wedding, so I will not be here live on Thursday. We're going to try to sneak an early Friday preview show in with the truth, and then a sit-start show on Sunday, a little up in the air because of the wedding, but I'm going to try to sneak one in right before the football games as well. So this week, a little up in the air on the schedule, but almost always it's going to be 7 p.m. Eastern time live, Monday through Thursday, 11 a.m. Eastern time, Sunday morning, 7:30, right after the games as well. But this week's going to be a little bit up in the air because of that wedding. Wolfpack, I hope this helped out. Best of luck. I hope you get everyone you wanted on the waivers. Set yourself up for week 3. I'll be here for your week 3 questions coming up tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Thanks again so much for showing up, Wolfpack. I really appreciate all the interaction. In a world full of fantasy sheep guys, be that wolf. Later.